Good afternoon, everybody. How are you? An early wrap or a late chat, depending on how you want to think about it. Long time no see. What's going on? No chat this afternoon with Rasa and myself. I just wasn't able to make it. Some union business going on today. We were away at Caliper Lake for a week, which was glorious. During the week, one of the reasons we love the place so much is how quiet it is. It's kind of off the radar for people. There's not a ton of people that visit that campground. There's enough that visit it that keeps it open, but not enough that it becomes just a party zone. So it was a glorious week. I wish we could have stayed longer. Unfortunately, reality sets in and we've got to get back to the world. But I thought I'd jump on now I was in the mood for a chat. It's been a while. Oh, I'm not plugged in here this yet. Let's see. There we go. Hopefully that does something. 1 second. Plug it in the Ethernet cable here or whatever it is. Let's see. There we go. Should be okay. Yeah, there it goes. Okay. So I thought I'd just come on now and just chat instead of tonight. I didn't read a ton of stuff. I did read a little bit that we'll talk about. More importantly, I was able to fill in some gaps in some small collections of stuff, which is always exciting to be able to do. So I'll show you that stuff. There was a mini Comic Con this afternoon as well. I was able to get there for about, I don't know, 45 minutes or so, which was great. I'm glad that I got a chance to stop by. Always good to see people and have chats and dig through some long boxes. Um, some good stuff there. Just a bit of a budget after being on a trip, right? So trying not to go too crazy, and honestly feeling a little overwhelmed with the amount of stuff that's in here already. You'll see up here, I finally got my Sickness trade paperback. I think we talked about this one before too. This Hulk Gray by Loeb and Sale. Good to get my hands on that. In that vein, actually, we didn't talk about it. So there's a place in town, Captain Collectabuzz. They had he did a posting where it's not a place I go to too often. He did a posting where he showed off just kind of some stuff that was, I think, new to the store. He's got a ton of toys. He's got games. He's got figures. He's got obviously, he's got comics, all sorts of things. It's quite a spot. Like, it's really dense and packed with some really good shit. The comic boxes are pretty amazing. There's a wide variety of stuff, which is always something that is exciting to me. But I've dug through those boxes a couple of times and pulled out some stuff. It's again, I've talked about it before. It's got to be the toughest thing about owning a shop or being a vendor. That idea of continually having to get new collections in or new stock in. You want to keep people coming back, right? So it's tough to try to retain some of that return business if it's the same back issue bins, right? Unless there's people like me going to Red River Bookshop, for example, because I get on these little kicks on various things, go down these various rabbit holes, and usually end up going back there to have a dig through their boxes a little more specific dig as opposed to an overall one looking for very specific titles. So he posted that he had the remaining 2 issues that I needed from Richard Corbin's Horror in the Dark. I needed issue 2 and 4 to complete that run. So very excited to pick those up. So we'll talk about them just briefly because Corbin is always on my brain. So there's the cover for issue 2. If you know anything about these books, they are not the easiest to find. And when you do, they have a tendency to go for kind of ridiculous money, which is one of the things that kind of frustrates me about some of this stuff. Don't get me wrong. I love Corbin. I think Corbin is a spectacular artist, or was a spectacular artist. I love his work. But this book is so dark, like as far as like the reproduction. It's a rough. This is at the end. I think issue number 4 was the final issue of anything that was published by Fantagor Press. Don't quote me on that. I'm pretty sure if it was not the final one, it was very much near the end. The problem with the stuff is that the stories are entertaining in that kind of classic Corbin Lovecraftian horror house kind of way, but the art is so muddy and so dark, it makes it a real chore to read, and it just doesn't let up. Excuse me. It just doesn't let up for this whole one. You can even see here as we get to these pages, they may as well be black pages. So stuff like this, when it's fetching such a high price, I guess I don't quite understand. I guess it's because they didn't print as many near the end. I'm assuming that's solely based on that. But when you do the dig and you wait for a long time and you finally get your hands on it and you open it up to this, it makes it a little difficult. I'm still very excited about it, but it makes it a little bit difficult to get overly excited. The strange thing about it is issue 4 is probably the cleanest issue of the entire run, illustrated by the very opening page. And his viewers, or his readers rather, in the letters columns, these are some of the best reasons to buy any Fantagor Press stuff. The back and forth with Corbin, and the kind of honesty within those pages are really fascinating to read. But nobody really, if people did call him out on it, he didn't print a ton of those letters, because there was one letter saying how great it looked. It's like, well, what book were you looking at exactly? Because the one I was looking at was brutal. So Jose Villarrubia was talking recently on the, I think it was on the Corbin site, or maybe it was on his own page, talking about doing the work for Corbin Library. He says there's 4 more planned. He's hoping that they're going to do more, but for the time being, there's 4 more volumes planned, which is extremely exciting for me. He was talking about Corbin's kind of feelings about working with the underground comics because of the reproductions of his work. He was never satisfied with the color work. So then you get to something where he has his own hands in there, and there's still this lack of having things get reproduced the way I can't imagine he saw this book and said, that's exactly what I wanted it to look like. I just can't even fathom that being a thing. Now, again, I am not a publisher. Surprise, surprise. I have never gotten any work printed in any shape or form. So I get that there's going to be some difficulties no matter who you deal with, and there's some complexity that I'm absolutely not privy to. But I want to say that I heard a Gary Groth interview potentially where he was talking about having to learn the language of the printers, especially at the time that they were doing stuff, because it's a different lifestyle and because it's a different type of person that you're talking to, that maybe potentially see it more as a job and aren't caring as much about it, or they're a little rougher around the edges, and they're printing your fucking comic books and what the fuck do you care, who gives a shit, yada yada yada. So taking the time to learn that language, and I'm wondering if it's just a language that Corbin was unable to learn. I would love to know more about that stuff. I like that kind of stuff. For a guy who was really meticulous about how his stuff would appear and pissed off when it didn't appear the way that he wanted to, I'm wondering what happened here, because not the rest of the Fantagor line looks that dark. There's some inconsistencies for sure, but in my memory of looking through these books over the years, I've been collecting them, these are the ones that are kind of the darkest, or of the lot of the Den stuff that was coming out. The Son of Mutant World, Rip in Time, I think, was one of the other ones. So I love completing the collection. I really, really love it. I don't know how much I have left from Fantagor Press to collect, but I'm pretty sure I'm goddamn close. So I read that. I finished the Metal Hurlant issue while I was out camping. It was a glorious afternoon, sitting under a tree with a beer, slightly buzzed from some THC, and just completely immersed in. I was about halfway through it. I read the last half in one sitting. I'm telling you, man, that's gonna be up there with probably the best read of the year so far for me. I thoroughly enjoyed every moment and every single page in that book. They did an incredible job. I'm hoping that Sorry, message coming through there. Just an amazing read, page to page. I love that they put the history in there. I loved seeing some of the artists that I wasn't familiar with. So, strongest recommendations. The read of the year so far. I think it's got to be right up there for me as just so goddamn solid. What else did I read? I dug into an issue, one of the undergrounds that I got from Galaxy Comics. This one's called Manhunt. Nothing major really to report other than Elaine Kaminsky, or Elaine Kaminsky Crumb, as she was later referred to. How goddamn good. It's not like I don't know this, but I feel like I haven't seen enough of her stuff. My fat came between us. You're a pig, Ethel. That is an outstanding first page of a strip, and it's a great little story. This Manhunt is sort of romance comic-ish from like an underground perspective kind of thing. There's a lot that in here that's just not really that entertaining, to be honest. But this, My Fat Came Between Us, was an absolute highlight of it. Such a pleasure to read this. Really great little story as well too, with her incredible drawings. What else stood out to me in here? Honestly, this Dr. Rubin Ruined My Sex Life was a really great one too, actually. Bringing in the book The Joy of Sex, or not The Joy of Sex, was it Everything You Wanted to Know About Sex but Were Afraid to Ask, and then that kind of ruining their intimate relationship. But I love the way this looks. It almost looks Trina Robbins-ish, actually. And then the other one that kind of struck me just for that opening page is this one, Hot Breakfast. Actually, this was a pretty entertaining story too. That's right out of like a Charlton romance book there. So there you go. And here you go as well too. So it had a couple of moments. Overall, I don't know if it's one that you need to run out to grab or anything, unless you like kind of like like I said, like a romance book kind of satire, I guess. What else did I read? I dug into the first issue. I haven't dug into the second issue of the Star Jongular collection. This was I think it was just the two issues from 1986 and 1987. This first one was goddamn unreadable. By the time I got halfway through it, I just stopped actually reading the captions and panels and words and just took in the art. It's a fascinating. So this is Gary Davis. Gary Davis is the artist on this one. It's such a fascinating mishmash of unreal cartooning at moments, and then god awful cartooning on the very next page of the next panel. I mean, look how great that looks. That looks fantastic. This looks pretty solid as well too. It's such an interesting mix of what was this guy looking at? What were his influences? It feels like there's some, what the heck is his name that did Dalgota, the artist on Dalgota? I know there's one of you watching. I'm hoping it's Colin because he'll be able to blurt out exactly what his name is. So such a great mix of this sort of style that seems to be influenced by heavy metal and Mobius and things like that, and then other artists, but really not finding, like, tell me that's not a Mobius character right there and a panel. That's unbelievable. That's unbelievable. Really, really nice stuff. So these gorgeous moments with just the most unbearable story and text you've ever read in your life, and then a mishmash of art. So I made it through that one and thoroughly enjoyed the art. Absolutely. Didn't like the story and started flipping through this one. I'm actually very excited to read this one. When you see a first couple of these pages, the apology there was not for the previous book. Look at this. What is going on? I love it. I absolutely love it. Those pages are unbelievable. So I'm curious what this one's going to be like. I'm not looking forward to digging through a mountain of text, but I mean, these opening pages look incredibly promising. So if anything, it is for the art. And I just watched one of 420's videos. Shout out to 420. We'll talk about him in a minute. And he was talking about trying to, if you can't keep, the story has to be there as well for it to stay in the collection. I can't just be keeping things just for the art. And I completely feel him on that, because it is difficult. At the end of the day, we're all here for the art, but goddamn, a good story along with that art goes a long way as well too, to making something like a classic. But it is really difficult to get rid of some of these, or want to get rid of some of them, because the story isn't good, when it's just a joy to look through. And who the hell else has the Star Jongular collection in their collection? My family's gonna be rich because we have issue 1 and 2. Anyway, quite a fine. That's it for everything that I read this week. We'll talk about a couple of other books that I got recently that I'm very much excited to read. But more importantly, for the 3rd week in a row, let's talk about Nihilist Spasm Band. This is the Nihilist Spasm Band record. This is the reissue from Island of Corti. Is that what they're called? They're Isle of Corti or something like that. Cortical Foundation. I think that says 2000 is when this came out. I couldn't resist. I got a couple of Spasm Band stuff from Discogs, and this was one of them. He also had for sale a compilation, No Tribute, Music of the Nihilist Spasm Band, done by a bunch of other bizarre noise people, like Hydrokaiden is on here, Wolf Eyes is on here, Panicsville is on here, Cocky SP is on here, Reynolds is on here, Carlos Giffoni is on here, Smell and Quim, Alan Licht, etc., etc., etc. 24 tracks with everybody doing their version of some Spasm Band tunes, which is fantastic. Carlos Giffoni, those of you in the comics world will know, I think it was Carlos that was writing Space Riders, or am I confusing him with someone else now? I think it might have been Giffoni that was working in comics for a brief second there. So anyway, very excited to listen to this as well. The big book this week was Kamui Book 2 is out from Drawn and Quarterly. So I went to our local bookseller, McNally Robinson. Shout out McNally. Had a couple of copies of this. They actually had 2 copies of Volume 1 and 2 copies of number 2, which is great. I'm glad that this is a little more available for people. Strong work, whoever's at McNally watching these videos and listening to every word that I say. It's great to see this stuff becoming more available. I'm super excited about this. Everybody knows that I'm a big fan of the Eclipse stuff. Obviously, the Eclipse run back in the day did the smallest fraction of what was available. I think this is going to be eventually a 10-volume set. I'm going to need to buy another shelf or make another shelf for this alone, but very, very excited that this is still going. I think Rasa's copy was delayed. We were reading this together when Volume 1 came out, so I'm sure we're going to do the same thing. We'll read it and talk about it. Maybe I'll clip it as well and do like its own little video for it when we have that conversation, but very excited about that one. This afternoon, there was a Comic-Con, and 420, the Nameless, he messaged me yesterday, I think, or a couple of days ago, don't know when it was, asking if I was going to be there because he had a couple of books for me that he's had for quite a while, and he wanted to pass them off. Very, very thankful. First of all, thank you so much. It's incredible. I couldn't make it. We didn't cross paths. We still haven't seen each other face to face. He knows what I look like. I have no idea what he looks like, other than I have to always scan people's hands when I go to the conventions, because I have no idea what this guy looks like. He could be an absolute troll for all I know. So he had a couple of things for me. Unfortunately, our paths didn't cross. He was kind enough to leave them with one of these sellers that we both know, this guy Don in town. So Don did good. He passed them on to me. Lo and behold, more Corben. The 3 issues that I was missing from the Banner 4-issue miniseries. I have issue number 4. Have never been able to find these anywhere. So such a great gift. I really appreciate this. Very much looking forward to sitting and reading this. I think Villarrubia was on this as well, doing some coloring, wasn't he? Or was that on Cage? Maybe it was Cage that he first started working with him. Let's see. Do you think there will be any credits here? Studio F is the colorist on this, so no, I'm assuming that maybe it was just on Cage when he started working with him. Did Corbin do another Marvel thing that I'm just completely blanking on right now? I don't remember. Cage and Banner are the two that immediately come to mind, but I'm looking forward to this one, see what this is like. So thank you very much for that. He also had Volume 1 of Katsuhiro Otomo's The Legend of Mother Sarah. This is book 1 called Tunnel Town. So goddamn good. I am so excited for this. I do have the single issues and I've read it, but I love it. So I might kind of keep both because it's great to have these in two different formats. It does really make, I don't have a single issue of Volume 2, and I think I've got a few issues of Volume 3. At this point, I would love to find all of them in trade paperback. So after the stream, I'm going to be heading over to my comic shop to see what they have listed and put it on a wish list. This was a great book. I really enjoyed this. The art is pretty incredible. Surprise to nobody. So that's an amazing handoff. I really appreciate that a lot. So what did I find at the convention? Again, let's keep on with the 420 appreciation. He said it himself a number of times in videos. There's a whole bunch of Aliens books out there that I wasn't aware of. I was aware of the Jim Woodring Labyrinth one, but that was it, and I didn't really give them any more thought. And then I think I saw some the Stocco, and then I also saw some Corbin as well. And then guys like 420 going, this is stuff that people are sleeping on. You should be looking into some of these books. And he was saying that to everybody, not just to me specifically, but and he's not wrong. There's some incredible stuff out here. So I found these that I've never heard of. Aliens Havoc. They were pricier than most, but I mean, who do you have in here? Arthur Adams, Guy Davis, Duncan Fegredo, Kelly Jones, Kevin Nolan, Mark Schultz, John Totleben, and more. Issue 2, Mike Allred, Sergio Aragones, Travis Charest, David Lloyd, fucking Mobius, Killian Plunkett, P. Craig Russell, and more. So what it is each of the artists are outlined on the inside cover, and they each do one page. Does it have, let's see, writer is Mark Schultz, and then all of the artists are listed. So this is how everybody's listed. So basically they're broken down by order of appearance is how they're listed inside. So a really cool idea. I've never seen this before, so that was good. Gary Usher, how you doing? Corbin on Ghost Rider also. That's the one I was blanking on. I believe that was the other one. Yes. So cool to have those. Another one that I was able to finish, pardon me, Earth War, a 4-issue miniseries. This is the Sam Keith drawn 4-issue. And again, really glad to find these because it's amazing stuff inside. So very much looking forward to reading all of these now that now that I've finally filled that gap in the collection. So there we go. That's issue 3 and issue 4. There's some pretty great covers. And last but certainly not least, this is so difficult to find any Captain Harlock for me from Eternity Comics. These don't come up very often, and when I see them, it's always the exact same issues. It boggles my mind. So 3 more. He had a few more, but I already had them. So I think I've got, I don't know, 6 or 7 of these now. So issue number 4, number 8, and number 10. I really enjoy these quite a bit. It's a fun book so far. Again, some really nice looking art inside as well too. So these I've just been kind of reading as I've been getting them. I do want to read the whole story front to back, but honestly, it just feels like one of those series that's going to take me forever to find. So I'll read them now, and then when I eventually finish it all, I'm read them all again, because I guarantee I'll have forgotten everything that happens in it. But there's a look at the interiors there. Yeah, I was going to say, so it's been done on on art duties. Robert W. Gibson is the writer. There you go. And this is from 1990. Issue number 4 is from 1990. So great to see that stuff. I think that's I think that's about it. I've been still reading some Post Brothers, but we won't talk about those too much. Still digging into Nausicaa and loving every moment of it. It's sitting right here beside me. I can't wait to get back into it, actually, because it's been a minute since I've read some of it. We're hoping that we can do a chat next Sunday, Rasa and myself. So if you're around and you want to hang out and listen to us prattle on about all sorts of shit, we'll be around. In the meantime, Gary Usher, nice to see you, man. Thanks for stopping by. For those of you in the future, are there flying cars yet? Okay, later.